How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at White Noise from 2005. This is directed by Geoffrey Sax and stars Michael Keaton, Debora Kara Unger, and Ian McNeice. And overall, this movie is okay. It's not great, not really anything to write home about, but it does its job well enough. It's about a guy who loses his wife and gets into the world of ghost hunting and unravels a mystery. I mean, as always, Michael Keaton's going to be great in this movie, and the cinematography captures that gloomy atmosphere really well, and there are some really good shot choices in here. But this movie's not really great. But it's at the same time, I can see why this movie made a little bit of a splash when it came out, and then in recent years has kind of gotten to be a bit forgotten, you know? You had Michael Keaton, a big star to lure people in. It was a PG-13 horror movie, so the high schoolers could come over. It wasn't too incredibly scary and gave it some mainstream appeal. And also, this was right after the American remake of Ring came out, and not gonna lie, it shares some visual similarities. So, it got a bit of a crowd, it got a sequel, it did, okay for itself, and like I said, it's not a bad movie or anything, it's just kind of a forgettable movie. And I think a large chunk of that is it was kind of reworked to be more of a crowd pleaser, or at least that's what it feels like. Michael Keaton's wife dies way too early for you to get any sort of, sense of their relationship or feel too big of a sense of grief. But we got to get to the ghost parts really quick. And while the movie should have been a meditation on grief and, trying to explore something you shouldn't to regain what you just had, it instead turns into this weird mystery where it almost feels like Michael Keaton is Ghost Batman. Not as cool as that might sound, but he's by his big array of computers, he's trying to track down all these clues, and the mystery, it plays out okay enough, but it's definitely a case of a big Hollywood plot stepping over what should have been somber themes, So it's okay. It's totally watchable. Put it on. Had a good enough afternoon. But not gonna lie, the movie's starting to slip from my head already. It does its job, but it's just forgettable, Let's talk a bit about the plot in order to analyze this further. I won't be going into major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points, and that will allow me to conduct a deeper analysis, but there's no reason to spoil it severely. So without further ado, let's dig in a little deeper. We open up with Michael Keaton. He is a successful businessman. He has an ex-wife who he had a kid with, and he has a new wife who's a successful author. So they're doing really well and living pretty happily. We get a bit of a sense of this when she drives off and she's gonna go die. Again, this happens way too early. I mean, I do get a sense of who they were, and I get, you'd be sad if your wife dies and that glumminess. I mean, it's easy to understand, but it's not deep and hard-hitting and impactful. This really should have happened at the end of Act 1, not at the end of your opening. It's rushing to the ghost too quick. And I know this movie would come out a lot later, but The Conjuring is a good example on how to introduce scary stuff, but not rushing into your plot. In The Conjuring, you had the ghost hunter characters in a separate plot. You did the Annabelle section as the opening, good, scary, got everybody in the mood, and then cut back to them a few times. If you had done that here, if you had made the ghost hunter character a bigger part of the movie, you could have cut to him as a B-plot, got some scary stuff in the movie, and not had to rush Michael Keaton's wife's death. But it's rushed, and he's gloomy, and you do feel for him, but not in that deep, hard-hitting way. I do like the scene where he kind of finds out, because he gets home, his wife's not there, and he's waiting for a call and just kind of being by himself. It plays into that real-world paranoia whenever someone doesn't show up when they're supposed to, and you wonder, oh man, I hope they didn't die or anything. And of course, it's a car thing, but it's not a simple car wreck. She had stopped on the side of the road near this river, slipped and hit her head on a rock, and when the river rose, it drug her unconscious body under the water, and they don't even find her body for a few days. It's a little more complicated than the simple car wreck every movie uses, and those movie savvy among us might start to dig into this a little bit, but whatever. His wife's dead, and he's grieving, and that's when he's approached by the ghost hunter character. And the ghost hunter character, you're not meant to be suspicious of him. That's nowhere in the movie. The movie never even implies this, but he approached you, not the other way around. He says, your wife contacted me, some random guy you've never met, and you're clearly grieving, you're very rich. There is so many red flags from this guy, but that's not really a theme of the movie, you know? It should be much harder to trust him, but after an initial, oh, I don't know about you, they get along pretty quick. So the ghost hunter contact from his wife, and he tells him about the magical world of EVPs. And okay, EVPs are a real phenomenon. Ghost hunters go around with recorders, and they find spirit voices, electronic voice phenomenon. Here, yeah, no, it's a real thing. The movie doesn't 100% get it. Basically, doing a real EVP session, it can take hours and hours just to get a response, and usually then, garbly and hard to understand. But what you would normally want to do is ask the spirits something, try to invoke them, try to provoke them to say something. You don't really see too much of that in this film. They just kind of just start chatting, you know? And he's getting Class A EVPs just all the time. If this dude was real, he'd be famous. Everyone would be talking about him. But normal ghost hunting is hours and hours, and then you have to go to the computer after the fact, look at the wave files, because human voices will be here, and then you're looking for these weird little ones. He's setting up this weird Class A EVP farm, and I don't know how he's getting such great results, but whatever, he's just getting oodles of EVPs, and he's even getting video EVPs. Which, yes, electronic voice phenomenon is a sound thing. It's an audio thing. And yet he's getting them through static on the TV. I don't think the writers 100% understood what an EVP was, but hey, cool ghost in the static. It incorporates a video element, and this is a movie. You really need the audience to see something. So whatever, ghosts are showing up on the staticky TV. Yeah, Poltergeist did it. But the thing is, though, I don't know what he's using. Like, you know, okay, you have an audio EVP, you have some sort of audio recorder, right? I don't see a camera attached to the TV. Is he just recording an empty, staticky station that's not on the air or something? What is his receiver to these ghost signals? He just turns on his TV and ghosts are in the box. Like I said, he's just farming out this great evidence, and in real life, this would be a huge thing. But he's just, yeah, going around and getting Class A results with barely any effort. Whatever, it's a movie, right? So eventually, Michael Keaton gets bigger and bigger into this world and starts noticing that something is up with the spirits and what they're saying, and he wants to make contact with his wife, but we'll also wind up solving this mystery. And yeah, they tell him, hey, be careful, it's dangerous. But again, that goes back to the EVPs not working how they're supposed to. Contacting the dead can, of course, be dangerous, but he's not even invoking them. Invoking, provoking, asking them questions, trying to stir them up, obviously stirring up the dead, that could be dangerous. And especially talking to the dead, you can't even see them. It's like talking to a stranger, but with the added terror that the stranger might be a demon. And also, of course, when communing with the dead, never invite them into your house or worse, your body. I mean, there is dangers when talking to the dead, clearly, but he's just setting out this EVP farm. He's not really provoking them or interacting with them. They could lie to him, I guess, but he's not stirring the pot. He's just collecting sounds that would have been there anyway, so I don't quite get it. But anyway, he's combing through this guy's mountain of notes, going through his old cases, and he even has this, someone who lost her husband, and yeah, Batman needs a Robin, I guess, right? She'll be someone to tell the plot to and give pointers to the audience, because there's lots of little characters in this side mystery, and the rules aren't 100% clear. You know, can ghosts do this? Can ghosts do that? And what the plot they uncovered actually gets pretty big and wacky. So yeah, it's not the easiest. I mean, I could follow the mystery, but it's just sort of, okay, I guess we're doing that now, and okay, which character was this again? It's a character with 5 minutes or so of screen time. I don't know how much I care. It's not that it's super hard to follow, it's just hard to get invested in this mystery. But, you know, again, The Ring had a mystery, we have to as well, and it's this B plot that's meant to be more of a crowd pleaser that just isn't super interesting. The thing is, you didn't need all this stuff. You know, you're trying to make it more interesting and ironically making it less interesting and taking away from the movie. What the movie needed, Act 1, Michael Keaton loves his wife, 30-minute mark, she dies, and it's sad because we've been following them for a substantial amount of time. Act 2, grief, depression, vague hints that something's there, leading him to want more and want to pursue more. At about the midpoint of the movie, tell him about EVPs, tell him about a possible way to connect with his wife, but make it clear that it's like making a deal with the devil and it's something he shouldn't be doing. And then Act 3, he gives into temptation, he goes into a world that he's not a part of, and there are dangerous things in there, and have it end in tragedy. Keep the movie's central theme of grief running throughout the whole thing, keep it all tied to one central focused idea. Instead, in this movie, grief gets swept away in favor of this complicated mystery that really does nothing for me. So I get, you know, it made its splash at the time. It was something people wanted. It was, you know, a good enough horror movie. It totally passable. But that's why it's forgotten now. And in the day and age of streaming, if White Noise, maybe if you did it my way, it wouldn't have had as big of an initial splash, but it would be more of something that would be remembered long term. And when you have big streaming libraries, it would be much more of a draw. But to be honest, to illustrate how forgettable this is, obviously a big enough initial impact, they printed several of these DVDs, and they quite often wind up in clearance bins now, and it's so forgettable, I honestly kept forgetting I had bought this, and I have 3 copies of it that I paid like this one's only $1. I kept finding this in clearance bins, I kept forgetting that I had it, because this movie is pretty forgettable. But now that I'm making this review, I'm making a better mark in my brain, and hopefully I won't buy any extraneous copies of White Noise in the future. Anyway, though, I haven't seen White Noise 2 yet. It's got Katie Sackhoff in it. Hey, maybe it will be good. I'll check it out sometime soon, I hope. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. How about my Ghost playlist? If you guys want to see more, you can click right there and see more. Anyway, have a good day now.